Hey, what is up guys? It's your boy Speed here, and today we're going to be going over 5 Ember Spirit concepts that Toronto Tokyo applies to his gameplay to absolutely stomp in a game where it was actually a very difficult Ember Spirit game. So if you're a mid lane player, we're going to go over 5 concepts that you should start applying to your gameplay immediately, and let's get into it. But before we do, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and now let's talk about Ember. By the way guys, if you want to become absolutely broken, well, what you need to do is sign up to the gameleap website down below right now. The reason why you should do that is because every single day we post a new video there. Content that you simply just will never get on YouTube, we post every single day to the website. It's really top tier stuff. I'm very proud of what I make over there. We also have other creators, many of my great friends who are top tier Dota players, creating guides about different heroes, different roles, different items, skill builds, talent builds, everything you need to know to get to the next rank. So if you feel a little bit lost, you're a little bit stuck, click the link down below. I'll see you guys there. And now let's get into the video. So the first plain concept I want to talk about is the fact that Toronto Tokyo in an unfavorable matchup stacks the 154 small camp and the 254 small camp. The reason why this is surprising to me is because of what he does after. It's not necessarily surprising that he stacks against a Bat Rider. Actually, the first thing that I think you guys should learn is anytime you're in an unfavorable mid matchup, if you're playing a hero like Storm or Ember or SF or Kunkka, and you have access to the small camp, instead of trying to lane, especially when the lane is on the enemy high ground, which is the worst possible position, instead of trying to do that, just go stack, right? He stacks, he can get the water runes, and he even farms it. This is the most shocking part to me, because generally in the early game, you don't see people actually farm the camp. But I believe the reason why he does this is, as I said, the lane positioning. He has a double wave pushing into the Bat Rider's high ground. Bat Rider is level 3. Level 3 Bat Rider is when sticky napalm doubles in damage and is way too much of a threat to Ember, so jungling here makes a lot of sense. And after messing around mid a little bit, you're going to notice as we skip ahead here about 2 minutes, he's stacking once again. And the reason why stacking the small camp is so good in this current format of the map is because you can stack straight into the water rune, heal up a little bit, and then farm the camp. And now let's take a look at the net worth. After farming this camp, he is actually above the Bat Rider in net worth. Now, to be fair, he's a little bit below in XP. The small camp was actually recently nerfed in terms of XP. It is 10% less XP than what it was in the past, and lane creeps give more XP, so it's pretty reasonable, but being ahead in net worth in an unfavorable matchup is very impressive, and this is something I'm definitely going to apply to my games. So the next thing I want to discuss is the fact that he itemizes almost purely for wave shove this game. Now, it might seem obvious that he's going to do this because he has a Morphling and an OD on his team, and Morphling and OD are 2 heroes that don't really like to wave shove. They're both very slow, right? They don't, like, OD doesn't buy mobility items, at least, you know, like, he doesn't buy movement speed, right? You're not going to see an OD with a Yasha for the most part. And Morphling just naturally wants to be around his team. Yes, Morphling can shove in waves in some games, but in general, compared to something like a bot's Ember Spirit, it's not even close to the speed. And you have remnants. However, what I will say is that they do have a Weaver and a Monkey King, 2 heroes that are very good with wave shoving. But what I think Toronto Tokyo sees here is just the fact that his gameplay is going to make him wildly overleveled. If we look at the current levels in the game, he is stomping on XP. He is level 17, and the highest level on the enemy team is also 17. And his team is only 2k net worth up, right? This is not some sort of massive stomp. Yes, they're ahead, but only 2k net worth up, being wildly overleveled, is a huge advantage on a hero like Ember that has decent stat gain, and most importantly, just scales well with talents. But the main point I want to make here for point number 2 is the fact that he itemizes around this. Number 1, he went Maelstrom. This is obviously one of the best wave shove items in the game for Ember Spirit. Number 2, he goes Boots of Travel. This is a bit of a mix-up. However, his entire gameplay revolved around this. He didn't buy phase boots and roam to the side lanes. He didn't do that at all, right? And it kind of makes sense. It's pretty hard to gank Doom, and it's definitely extremely hard to gank Medusa. So I definitely like the fact that he didn't play around that, and instead he played around farming. And now, in the mid game with these bots, you'll see even when his OD is getting gone on, he's off to the bottom lane, shoving it in, has a defensive remnant if needed, and has a Linken's now. And this is a fantastic Linken's game. It's obviously very good against Bane for, you know, Grip and Nightmare. It's incredibly good against Bat Rider. It's stupid good against Doom. It's okay against Rubik, to be fair. I actually think Rubik is one of the best anti-Linken's heroes in Dota because he has 2 instant cast single target ability, so I actually think Rubik counters Linken's largely, but nonetheless, you can see he's forcing rotations around the map. Batrider TP's bottom, Doom TP's bottom. He's bringing heroes bottom, baiting them in, and because of his high movement speed with bots and Linken's, he even can easily disengage or bait for your Taro to one-shot the Batrider. Next up, coming in at number 3, I want to talk about a very advanced concept. This is one I've been really pushing to some of my coaching students, definitely the higher MMR coaching students. And this is the idea that the lane that was just ganked, okay, the lane that was most recently ganked, is actually the safest lane to farm. So if I'm going to go a little bit back here in this clip, we'll go to about 1730. Toronto Tokyo is pushing in mid, and his Monkey King gets ganked in the bottom lane, right? So the enemy team is where? They're bottom, right? That's obvious. Now, he does have a ward, so he's literally going to see where the enemy team is going to go, right? To be fair, he sees that the Rubik, he sees that the Batrider, and he sees that the Bane, eventually I believe Bane shows, that they're going to shift up, right? So it even gets dewarded though, right? So now he doesn't know where they're going. He doesn't know. And he doesn't know that Doom is there, and Doom actually didn't back off, right? So Doom is potentially on the bottom side of the map, right? So we know this, and he knows this. He's a pro, trust me, he knows. And yet, what is he going to do in about 10 seconds? He is going to TP bottom. He hasn't seen Doom yet. He doesn't know where Rubik or Bane went. Why in the world would he make this play? This seems absolutely insane. How many 3Ks do you think would be willing, without proper information, against Tundra to TP bottom like this? Almost none. But here's the thing. When people gank a lane, they generally don't want to stay in that lane. Also, to be fair, playing the bottom side of the map for Tundra right now would make very little sense. It doesn't secure Roshan, which they absolutely need to protect right now. Right? The enemy team has a Morphling, a Weaver, and an OD. They can Rosh extremely quickly, so they have to protect the Roshan, and as a result, he goes bottom. Information like this about understanding like teams basically need to cover Roshan, and just the fact that like people don't stay in the lane that they gank. Usually after people gank a lane, they're gonna leave. And the only person who's generally gonna stay is some harmless safe laner, like some Jug, right? That Ember Spirit can completely ignore at essentially every stage of the game. So yeah, he just goes bottom here. He's going to shove it in. He waits for a little bit of information. You can see he's slightly patient. He's not a psycho about it. He's definitely fearing the fact that they have this Doom, but he pushes in a wave. Very easy to do that with Flame Guard plus, you know, Sleight of Fist. It takes like less than 3 seconds and he's out. Point number 4 is Eye of Scotty. This was a really weird pickup from Toronto Tokyo. It's not to say we have never seen Eye of Scotty on Ember Spirit before. In fact, I have very fond memories of Eye of Scotty Ember Spirit. It was one of the times where I really started to take competitive Dota seriously and care about the professional scene. And I remember this TI5 game where Sumail bought Eye of Scotty on Ember, I think first item, which was so odd to me at the time. I remember thinking like, what is this? You know, what is this stuff? Like, what is this build? But all right, let's talk about why Scotty's good this game. So number 1, it's particularly good because it lined up with his Sleight of Fist Charger's talent. So I don't know if he would have bought it if he wasn't coming in close to level 25. But to be fair, this game, it makes a lot of sense. Tundra's lineup is a 4 Protect 1 Medusa comp, and Scotty destroys Medusa. If you don't know why, every effect of Scotty is doubled against ranged heroes, besides the lifesteal and spell lifesteal reduction. Then it's just a flat 40%, right? But it's really good against ranged heroes. It just annihilates their movement speed and their attack speed. Very good against Medusa. And to be fair, it's also pretty good against Batrider. This is a hero that naturally needs to initiate and move around the fight with BKB. If you slow it, which Scotty goes through a BKB, if you slow him by 50% when he has like 500 movement speed, he's losing 250 movement speed. A huge amount of movement speed, practically making him, immobile. And so this was a great pickup here. As you can even see in this clip, as he slights the Medusa once, because Slight applies Scotty and Orb of Corrosion, her movement speed drops to 144. That is basically 0. Honestly, in terms of like useful movement speed, 144 movement speed basically means you're not moving, and he's just messing with her. Obviously in this clip it doesn't do anything. It's going to be more so for the team fights, just kind of disabling her and the Batrider in team fights. Also decent against the regen of the Doom, to be fair, but for the most part it also just makes him ridiculously tanky, giving him 3,700 HP. He's completely unburstable, and he's also itemized around this. You can see that he took the Searing Chain's duration talent, which basically means he's going to be playing around control rather than playing around flame guard talents, which means he would generally be initiating. And I like that because it's hard for him to initiate this game. They have grip and doom and lasso and stone gaze. And finally, getting into our last clip of the game, point number 5. This is a clip where I just want to talk about understanding the execution of team fights, even if your items maybe signify that you should be doing something else. So what do I mean by this? He has an axe, right? Generally, when you have axe and shard on Ember, which he has, you're going to be going for the backline, diving deep with remnants, and going in crazy. However, he needs to understand that Weaver can't do that. OD doesn't want to do that. Morphling can do that, so that's fair. Monkey King, maybe. It's not easy, but maybe. But for the most part, they would all prefer to just kind of kite out. And so what does he do here? Leads him with a slight, reduces their movement speed to practically 0, Batrider down to 205. Oh man, that's rough. And now they can look to kite out, right? So they're going to reset and kite out. As they do that, they can now go back in with the Scotty. He's going to set up with the chains, and they're going to look to just build up mana on the OD, right? Continuing to build up more and more mana on the OD. He even spends a little time going to the bot side of the map here and pushing in the waves. The reason why you would do this, besides just getting farm and more XP, is to try to get someone to respawn to the bottom side of the map, so you have a 5 to 10 second gap where you could siege the top lane. And now, let's look at this team fight. So, all of Tundra just bought back. They're 37,000 net worth ahead, and yet they're still disengaging. They're still resetting. Why are they doing this? It's because they just used a lot of their cooldowns. They used Monkey King ulti, both of OD's ulti. Ember is completely out of remnants. They don't have a lot of spells, but they can wait for their basic spells to come back up. The Boundless Strike, the Swarm, Waveform, Redactive Strike, E-Blade, right, the 20-second cooldowns will come back up. And they need to kite out to make sure that this happens and they don't get dragged into Tundra's base. And that's exactly what happens. And now they can play completely around kiting. Even though he has an Ags, he can play completely around kiting, which the Scotty does incredibly well. He forces Doom BKB, Deucey gets caught out of the base, and now they're just going to completely kite her out. He applies the Scotty slow, Morphlings get a man up, Scotty slows again as the BKB comes out, right? Because the BKB purged the original Scotty debuff, so now he's going to reapply it. Kite, gets it up again, hits a beautiful no vision slight chain. The way you do that is you chain slightly later than you usually would, and eventually they completely kite them out. Top tier gameplay, man. It honestly brings tears to my eyes when I see such incredible kiting. It really does. Like I get slightly emotional. You know, I'm like, oh, it's just beautiful. It's just beautiful. All right, nonetheless, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you like this different format of 5 tips rather than just like a general replay analysis, let me know in the comment section down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay broken, my friends. Peace.
And that's all, but remember, before you leave, before you tune out, subscribe to the GameLeap website where we are going to help you get to the next rank. If you're stuck, click the link down below, and I'm out. Peace.